Infinite Warfare. When Call of Duty heard the complaints following Advanced Warfare and BO3 about the future settings and decided, hey, let's go even more in the future. Ah well, let's unlock the rarest Infinite Warfare Zombies achievements on every map. If you end up liking this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. It's the best way for me to know what you want to see more of. Also, comment what you'd like to see next. Let's get bodacious and kick the video off with Zombies in Spaceland. The rarest achievement on Zombies in Spaceland is Insert Coin with a 0.10% completion. You need to play every arcade game on the map, including the roller coaster. As usual, I started out by getting up in atoms. After spending the first round flipping the power switch, lighting this area up like Las Vegas, and punching zombies in the face, I bought the M1, acquired enough points, and opened the first door. I got some head and stuck it on my main man Neil, who's your best friend on this map. He'll give you challenges that you can complete for tickets and to call in David Hasselhoff to shoot you out of his pecs like in the first SpongeBob movie. These range from killing zombies from a distance, not going into last stand, and meleeing them. If you're wondering why I'd waste my money on the M1 instead of spending it all on the arcade tokens to get as many green army men as possible, it tells me two things. One, you have exquisite taste in arcade prizes, and two, you're not familiar with fate and fortune cards, the better balanced gobblegum cousin. You see, I may not have all 5 pieces of Exodia in my hand, but what I do have is a little beauty called Scoped Dollars. I activated my card and got $300 extra for every sniper kill. Since this game classifies the M1 as a sniper instead of an assault rifle, that's $400 for every headshot. Enough killing for profit, and I was able to afford all the doors to open up the power in this section of the map to allow me to buy Tough Enough, this game's version of Juggernog. I ended the round by flipping on the power to the arcade, returning to the center of the map, and finishing off the final zombies. Now my condolences if you're afraid of clowns, but round 5 was the first appearance of the dog round on Zombies in Spaceland. Exploding clowns. Bizarre? Absolutely. That's just how Infinite Warfare Zombies rolls though. It's a serious tonal whiplash going from BO3's serious straightforward tone to Infinite Warfare deciding to be as goofy as possible. Don't even get me started on World War II's torture porn. That's for its own video. On to the next round. I returned to the arcade. Let me tell you, even in college my wife and I would spend a good chunk of change trying to win various games at the arcade, like the ball drop game or the Sonic and Tails one. I adore the setup on this map. It's so refreshing playing these arcade games instead of just pressing X on some rocks and having the wonder weapon like in the Treyarch games. I played the Rings of Saturn basketball game, Bowling for Planets aka Skee Ball, Cryptid Attack, Black Hole, and Zombie Zoom, but I couldn't finish Zombie Zoom because it's time consuming and zombies were scratching my butt. Also, sorry for the fast in and out like it's after senior year homecoming with these arcade cabinets, but you don't actually have to play them. As long as you interact with the game, you can immediately leave and it counts. I headed over to the Kepler system part of the park after failing Zombie Zoom again due to being trolled by zombies and played some Octonian Hunter. I went up into Polar Peak and flipped the power, got my fast pass and went on the coaster. Sorry if there are any amusement park enthusiasts out there, but I despise them. They're crowded, the lines take forever, a turkey leg is $20, and I do not like roller coasters. It's amusing that they hand you a real gun for this ride. It's like if you went to Disney World and Goofy was like, "Gorsh, here's the Glock, have fun, yuck." When you get on It's a Small World. Oh, I'd have loved a Glock on It's a Small World. After throwing up after the ride, I made another trip to the Astrocade, but the machine was still out of order, so I ended the round and hung out by the escape velocity trap to pass things by. I have to say, the saddest thing about uploading Zombies in Spaceland content is that I have to turn off the music, because it plays copyrighted 80s songs, which is one of my favorite things about the map. The 80s is my favorite decade for music, so not getting to jam out to Frankie Goes to Hollywood and Blondie blows. After pack-a-punching the M1, better than the actual wonder weapons on this map by the way, I stopped screwing around. I killed the last zombies and grabbed the red gun and Zombie Zoom. My loyalty to the greatest color was rewarded by me winning the game and tickets, and now I had enough to buy over 300 green army men. I intentionally got annihilated by these fools to make it to the Afterlife arcade. I played all the games in the land of the living, but now I had to do the same thing in the spiritual arcade. Fortunately, all the games are the same, so there aren't any tricks, and the same BS works on the arcade cabinets. After playing all the games, I didn't unlock the achievement, but after reading a guide, I learned that sometimes you need to play a second game of basketball when you're back alive. This isn't always the case, as I did this twice because my audio was out of sync, but try playing basketball a second time if the achievements don't trigger when you're in the Afterlife arcade. I went back to the Astrocade one more time and did my best MJ impression, unlocking Insert Coin. Only 90s kids will remember Raven the Redwoods. Okay, before I go on, I barely consider myself a 90s kid, and I was born in the mid-90s. Raven the Redwoods rarely rarest achievement is actually scrapbooking, but that requires you to basically complete the Easter egg, and I'd rather save that for its own video. So the rarest is Top Camper with a 0.21% completion. You need to complete all 5 challenges in a match, and while this is giving me flashbacks to my time in Boy Scouts, I had to push through. I spawned here in Bear Lodge with only my fists and a dream of actually getting YouTube videos out more than once a lunar cycle. I'm taking a bit of a break from golf right now, but I've been playing since I was 5, so naturally I grabbed the 4-iron off the couch and got to work trying to fix my slice by bashing in some brains and grabbing up and atoms. After a couple of rounds of blunt force trauma and turning up my brightness because this map is darker than my sense of humor, I picked up the M1 from upstairs. That's right kids, we're going to abuse scope dollars again because you can't be the top camper unless you pay the scouts fee. Also, make sure to cut a hole in the bottom of your bully's canoe. That's right, screw you Ian, but I can't do that yet because my cards aren't charged. I opened one of the doors and made my way down the stairs to start the first challenge of meleeing 15 zombies. But if this was during the Nintendo Wii's lifetime, I'd brawl them. Wait, don't leave, please. For those of you who didn't quit after that joke, I bashed in many heads with my tailor-made iron and made my way over to Camp Wolf to start the next challenge, get 10 multi-kills. After getting my first multi-kill, I lucked out and picked up some gas grenades. For those who've played Black Ops 4, these are almost as good as Wraith Fires. Almost. After multi-killing a few more zombies, I activated scope dollars and started padding my retirement fund. These gas grenades are amazing and will end up carrying me throughout a couple of these challenges for this achievement. My pockets were sagging from the size of my wallet, so I made my way through the mine and flipped the power switch, allowing me to return to the spawn area and most importantly, allowing me to buy Tough Enough. Things got hairy on round 7. Very hairy. Sasquatches are the dog rounds of Raven the Redwoods, and all I could think of is
you eat babies.
They're strong, but a headshot returns them back to mythical status. I got trapped in a corner back here in the spawn lodge, so I activated another Fate and Fortune card, Eagle-Eyed. Like scope dollars, it affects sniper rifles. But instead of extra money, every shot deals critical damage. So not only am I able to power my way out of the corner, but I'm also able to finish up the multi-kill challenge by playing Operation on these ravers. Back to Camp Wolf for challenge number 3, this time requiring me to kill 25 zombies from downtown. I went back through the mines and made my way to the rave area, which pumps some really cool rave music. You know, if I was able to play it. I'm not 100% sure if the rave music will cause the record labels to dissolve my family in a bathtub filled with acid, but I didn't want to find out. Shout out to one of my college roommates for teaching me about the acid bath trick. No matter, Eagle-Eyed was still running, so I stood far away enough from the zombies and did my thing. The nice thing about distance challenges is that the zombies are outlined in white when they're far enough away, so it's easy to tell who needs a little more space and who's ready to fertilize the ground. Off to the lake for some late night skinny dipping. Ha! Just kidding. You think I want Jason Voorhees to come stab my dick? I started the next challenge of rebuilding 45 barriers. Now I know you can't contain your excitement after hearing that. I'm sad that I can't show off the crossbow wonder weapons here because I think they're really good. Maybe the best implementation of elemental wonder weapons we've had in terms of uniqueness and balance. 45 splinters later, and Andre finished the 4th challenge. On the way to the 5th and final challenge, I picked up the Banshee shotgun off the wall. This is because the final challenge requires you to kill 25 crawlers, and the Banshee can create crawlers on round 9. Of course, I remembered the gas grenades create crawlers, so the Banshee wasn't going to have to do the heavy lifting after all. A couple of gas grenades resulted in a nice chunk of the challenge being complete, and I only had 7 more to go. The Banshee finished off the challenge, blowing off legs and heads, unlocking Top Camper and my murder badge. Let's get groovy with Shaolin Shuffle, where those cats were fast as lightning, and if that song reference gets me demonetized, I'm gonna kung fu kick myself in the grapes. Bookworm is the rarest achievement, and Shaolin Shuffle with a small 0.05% completion. You need to collect the bios for all 4 characters, or for those familiar with the map, this is the Nunchuck Easter egg. However, to complete this, you need to do it in 4 separate games. I've done this, of course, because I'm a sicko, but I've decided to only show you the run where I unlocked the achievement to avoid repetition, and the final run was, in my opinion, the most eventful. The runs were all identical in terms of doors open and guns used though. I couldn't actually start this achievement until round 5, so I hung out in the subway for a couple of rounds before spending the next 2 above ground, grabbing the flyer for the strip club that houses the Pack-a-Punch machine. I grabbed the UDM because there's not really another option up top and it looks like something out of Subnautica. I do resort to playing these first few rounds more like a dork than Spaceland and Rave because I've done this 3 times already and want to max out points so I can stop playing Shaolin Shuffle. I love how it feels like an authentic kung fu movie from the 70s, but the layout leaves much to be desired. That's a recurring theme with the last 3 Infinite Warfare maps. Round 5 rolled around and I entered the dojo to talk to Pam Green. rear before getting jumped by these Avril Lavigne fans, taking it down. No worries, I grabbed Up and Adams, killed the skaters, and grabbed the dragon-style Chi. In the previous attempts I went with Tiger, which seems to be a good one, but when you do the same stuff over and over, you need to mix it up. The next round I scurried up the rooftops like a Kung Fu Santa and made my way into the disco. Depressed that I couldn't listen to the music, bought the Type 2, then picked up the film reel, the second piece of the Pack-a-Punch machine. Then it was time to boogie. The disco's a pretty good place to train as long as you don't get caught in the middle, so the Type 2 and I got jiggy with it. This thing is so damn cool, it splits into akimbo rapid-fire weapons. It reminds me of the weapons that could do that in GoldenEye back on N64. But after doing my best Saturday Night Fever impression, I went up to the roof, activated the power, and got my kung fu on. I slapped a couple of gongs on the roof and made my way around the map, punching open some doors that I'll need for a future step. Thankfully, the kung fu only drains when you hit zombies and isn't on a timer, so I'm able to just hold my hands out like this is Skyrim until I either use up my meter or put my hands away. Back to guns in the club, however, I just wanted to show off infinite ammo with the Type 2. You go into dual wield mode and hold the trigger until everything in front of you melts. With all but one zombie killed, I grabbed the subway token from underneath the Tough Enough machine, killed that last zombie, then made my way into the Ninja Turtles home here. This is the safest place to train on Shaolin Shuffle. Look how big the area is. After reaching the end of the round, I connected all the pieces of the Pack-a-Punch machine and returned to the disco. I was almost ready to do the nunchuck Easter egg, but I made some horrible moves while training and went down in the disco. This set me back a round or two at least. I rebought my perks, adding Bang Bangs, the double tap equivalent, to my digestive system. Round 11 was more skaters, but since I was hanging out in the Rat King's lair, I had plenty of space and could handle them easily. Rocket Power was fun and all, but that was 20 years ago. Oh, damn, I'm old. Round 12 was clutch up time. I spent more time farming zombies underground until there were only a couple left, and I had nearly 8,000 points. I pack-a-punched the Type 2 and went to the other side of the map to buy racing stripes, or as the normies call it, stamina. I could maybe do this without pack-a-punching a gun. There's no way in hell I could have done it without racing stripes. There's just not enough time. Now it was time for some, time. There are 3 clocks you need to interact with and then melee a couple of objects before the time is reversed, resulting in Willard Wyler giving you the backstory of each character. You don't have to do these in any particular order or even on the same round, but you only get one chance at each clock per round. Back on the disco roof, I interacted with the clock and got moving. I had to jump down through the ceiling, punch a book, then when I got reversed, punch another book. This was my most whiffed on clock, but somehow I managed to do this first try. I guess when you suck long enough, you eventually start to blow. Next up was the clock at the desk at the disco. You need to interact with the clock, then the microphone on the pallet, then another microphone once you take the portal by racing stripes. Of course I whiffed on that one because this map is dumb and not a skill issue. No sir, not on this channel. I moved on to the third clock in the subway by Bang Bangs. I interacted with the clock, went through the door portal, punched a paper that you probably can't see because I can't see it, got rewound, then punched the script on the other side. I actually failed this clock a second time while accidentally turning around too early and going back into the portal, but here in round 14, I succeeded on the third attempt. Next up, I had to activate a specific TV depending on which character I played as, and since I'm Andre, it's in the bar by Pam Grier. After almost dying, the TV showed Andre and I moved out to the open space, but it didn't matter. The ninjas killed me in Pam Grier's dojo because they're insane. I was out of Up and Adams, so I had to carefully navigate my way back to the Rat King's lair, which is more obnoxious than trying to listen to pop radio with all the ads just to listen to the same Taylor Swift song you heard 10 minutes ago. The ninjas teleport in front of you, so you really can't escape from them, and they hit like a truck. Thankfully, my previous attempts made me more knowledgeable about their movements, so I survived the onslaught. I nearly ran out of lasers, so I made my escape to rebuy Tough Enough and more ammo, carving through the zombies like a box of ding-dongs. With one zombie left, it was time to wrap up the achievement. I had to punch all the clocks before time ran out, so I started on the roof, dropped down for the one on the desk, and ended with the one in the subway. Unfortunately, I missed the desk clock and had to start the step over, but thankfully you can do this more than once around. The second time, I punched the 3 clocks, triggering Willard's last quote and giving me a fire sale, which always gives you nunchucks and unlock the achievement. Time for a real throwback, daddy-o! Attack of the Radioactive Thing's rarest achievement is the dreaded Quarter Muncher with a 0.03% completion. You need to complete Skull Hop on the map. Straightforward, right? Considering the fact that this run alone has over 3 hours of footage, hell no it's not. Before we begin, it's imperative that you have a Skull Hacker fortune card equipped, or else this will be hell on earth, more so than it already is. Also, if you win with the Skull Hacker card, you might not get the achievement, so make sure to follow the workaround I mentioned. Shout out to a viewer named Kraus who actually requested that I do this this achievement. It's conveniently the rarest achievement on the map, so I'm killing 2 stones with 1 bird. We spawned in black and white in this tube thing like it's field day in 3rd grade and buy up in atoms. I better explain why it took over 3 hours to do this achievement, why I was up past midnight when I had work the next day, and it was my morning to wake up with the kids. It's not as simple as playing the game. You need to activate 6 skulls by doing specific tasks around the map. Some are simple, like finding items, but some are just awful. After a round in the tubes, I exited the building to get some vitamin D in my system. Well, I think I'm getting it in my system. It's hard to tell without color. After a couple rounds of blasting zombies, I made my way up to the TV station and said hello to Elvira and her personality. After listening to her plan to rule the galaxy as father and son, I ran to the beach, the ideal vacation spot. You know, if you ignore the Digimon in the water. I also grabbed the power switch. Round 5 was the first appearance of the Krogs, the frog monster dog round. I was really surprised how effective this Hornet was against them, but that's what I get for assuming it would be as crappy as the Cap 40 from BO2. After killing these rejected Yu-Gi-Oh designs, I ran back through the spawn to the other side of the map, added the lever to the power box, and powered up the town. I also shot the first of 5 skull icons needed for the first step of activating the Skull Hop machine. The second one was hiding behind the dumpster up the stairs here, so I had 3 more to go. Emotionally torturing myself to get YouTube videos has made me hungry, so I made my way into the grocery store and pulled a meat cleaver out of a shark and shot the 3rd skull hiding under the shelf. Since I turned on the power, I took a detour into the ice cream shop where the Skull Hop machine is to grab Elvira's spellbook. This isn't part of the achievement, but it's part of how you get Pack-a-Punch. I returned to Elvira expecting a pat on the head, but instead she gave me a test tube. Now we call Toodles and bring out the mystery Mouska tool from earlier. You need to melee enough of the zombies emitting a green gas with the meat cleaver, which replaces your melee attack. It's always the ones who look like soldiers, which is extra easy to spot. After catching enough waves on the beach, pausing to grab Tough Enough and shoot the 4th skull out of bounds, I opened the door to the bridge and found the last skull under the bus. This was actually really lucky because there are some locations that are really hard to hit without a sniper. Of course, I made a terrible play and tried to run past some zombies and took it down. I returned to Elvira and she joined me for a day on the town. I took her to a bubble, much like where I took my wife on our first date, and she gave me access to Pack-a-Punch. Couldn't afford it yet because of my death, but that's the game's fault, not my skill level. I went back to the beach and bought the OSA, or OSA, whatever it's called. After racking up enough points, I got Tough Enough back and picked up a little yellow container at the gas station. The last time I did this, I got pulled over by the FBI, but since this is the 1950s, it's not as important. I repaired the pool trap because I was going to need that for a future skull before making my way back to the other side of the map again and put my container in a puddle of radioactive goop. Do you know what we have to do for this skull? Sit here. I had to run around in circles while zombies slap Andre's ass, hearing his Chris Tucker-esque lines for 5 minutes. This is not hyperbole, by the way. It's literally 5 minutes of waiting for the container to fully fill with goop. Thanks, Gwyneth Paltrow. After spinning around for 5 minutes, I got the little beeping noise that let me know it was finished and my second step was complete. You're probably thinking that it can't get any more annoying than that, right? If so, you haven't played Infinite Warfare. After another round of Frogger on the beach, it was time to get precise. This is probably the most annoying step to do solo. Do you remember the pool trap I repaired earlier? I need to kill exactly 16 zombies with this trap. That's right. I have to somehow count 16 zombies and get them to take a toaster bath, and if I'm off by even one, I have to try again the next round. The thinning of zombies was only made worse by the arrival of this buff anglerfish blinding me every 10 seconds, leading me to take another down. I'm gonna admit it, this is not a hard map. I just played horribly. Just ignore this 3rd down here, please. Please, I'm begging you, ignore it. Between my wife and I, we determined that I had 16 zombies left. I made my way back to the motel, dropped the container of slime in the pool, and fired it up. Zombies were getting fried left and right, but I noticed that I missed one. It turns out that was a good thing though, because otherwise that would have made 17 zombies, and I would have switched over to becoming a Cooking Mama channel. Oh boy, here we go. Step 4, the code step. On the wall of the ice cream shop, there's a word written in Subnautica font, in my case, oxidation. Now over here at the playground, 4 symbols are in front of the swing sets, 2 in front of each set, and when you interact with them, symbols will appear on the drive-in movie screen above. Your task is to use these 4 symbols and enter in combinations to get the various symbols that correspond to the letters of your word you got. Sounds confusing? No shit. There's an image online you can use to know what each symbol looks like, and a spreadsheet with algorithms that'll actually solve this for you. But guess what? I couldn't use that because I was recording and my phone wouldn't open the spreadsheet in Google Docs. So I had to do this without it. Do you know how long it took me to do this? 50 minutes. 50. I had a whole rant written out, but I'm just going to reduce it to this is the single worst thing I've ever played in zombies, and maybe the worst thing I've ever done in gaming. Building the jet gun solo is better than this. I finished the puzzle eventually and moved on. It's time to show you all that yes, I do have skill issues from time to time, but I've been playing this godforsaken series since since the first Call of Duty in 2003. I had no Tough Enough, no more Up and Adams, a sniper rifle, and only $90 to my name, so I couldn't get a better gun. But do you know what I did have? Eagle-eyed, bitches! Thank you, not switching up my fate and fortune cards. Back on the beach, I no-scoped these virgins like it was MW2 Rust and banged every single one of their moms. I managed to rebuy Tough Enough before buying the OSA again to build up my portfolio. After mowing down zombies, juking my way out of tight spots, I bought bomb stoppers, aka PhD flopper, and upgraded my Kendall starting pistol. Unlike most people, I'm not really the biggest fan of this thing, but that's par for the course for my opinions. Step 5 is to unleash evil spirits and shoot them, but first I made my way to the trailer park and meleeed this paper called Don't Blink near Mule Kick. With that done, I was able to take goop containers from the pool, interact with Willard Wyler pictures, and smack the containers. A bubble spawns and spooky ghosts show up and fly around. Thankfully, the normal zombies move extremely slowly. You need to shoot like 7 of these spirits before the bubble bursts, or else you have to get a new container. I started by the motel, so when I choked, at least it was quick enough to grab a new one. But then behind the gas station in town, I was farther away. Eventually, I beat it. Then the next was in the grocery store, same thing, even farther away when I failed. Eventually got that too though. But the final one is down by the ice cream store, which is probably the farthest away. This doesn't have to be in a specific order, it's just the order I chose. I didn't even realize that I spent almost as much time on this step as I did with the code step. Learned after the fact that you can fast travel, but screw me for not knowing that ahead of time. But finally I got the 5th step done after shooting the spooky spirits. All that's left to do now is get the wonder weapon of the map, the MAD, and I don't care enough at this point to Google what it's really called. After a few box spins, I surprisingly got it without having to run to a new location, which is glorious. You need to shoot the skull hop machine with a charge shot of the weapon, but you just can't charge it because that'd be too much fun. Up the stairs in the motel behind the bomb stoppers machine, you can enter a maintenance room and pick up a crowbar replacing the meat cleaver. I smacked the box on the wall of the TV station and picked up the crank, which allows me to fire a charge shot. Now it's time to get hopping. This is an extremely important tip. You absolutely need to use a Skull Hacker fortune card and intentionally fail the game before joining the game normally with the charge shot. If you skip the card step and go immediately into the game, you only have a 1 chance and the game will bug out if you fail. And then you have to rip your balls off and get to this point again. After doing the trick and shooting the game with a charge shot, I hopped in. I'm gonna skip ahead to the last game, but I did want to show you all that the Skull Hacker trick does in fact work, as I lost the game because I had no idea what I was doing. Here's the gist of Skull Hop. There's a bunch of skulls on the other side of the game and some different colored platforms. You see the colors to the left and right of the group of skulls? You need to stand on the same color moving squares, grab a block with the laser, and shoot it at the skulls. If you fall off a platform or shoot the skulls with the wrong color, a skull leaves. If 3 skulls leave, you fail and have to shoot the machine with another charge shot. If you have a block with the colors to the sides are about to change, just launch the block off to the side so it doesn't connect. Also, the skulls will shoot a yellow line at you, but don't worry about that. It'll stun you for a moment, but it won't make a skull leave and doesn't negatively impact you in any way other than time. So take it slow, concentrate on making your shots. After all the bullshit I went through, Skull Hop itself was actually pretty fun. Eventually I completed the game and was rewarded with a permanent perkaholic for the rest of the match. That of course lasted 20 seconds because I quit and went to bed. We're ending things with a bang, and that bang is me throwing my controller through the TV. The Beast from Beyond's rarest achievement is Egg Slayer and has a 0.04% completion. It requires you to get the Venom X. Important note, this won't trigger if you have Director's Cut and use the magic wheel. Before making this video, I'd actually never played the Beast from Beyond, but I was aware of the map's reputation. I slightly chalked it up to the internet being the internet. I mean, come on, one of the worst maps of all time? Really? It takes place in a sci-fi setting. How can it be bad? Here we are in the spawn room, and this time we have an assault rifle. Kick ass, right? In come the cryptids from a ghost extinction mode. Yippee! I'm so glad to see these guys again. Hooray! I found through trial and error that hiding in this little area in the spawn is the best way to handle these monsters. They jump up right in front of where I'm aiming and get killed via death before they can do any damage. There's no point in trying to train. These things are faster than you and will bite you like a cat meowing for her 5 o'clock dinner. After the first 3 rounds, I made a run for the ops center. This area is wide open, so I was at least able to give the alien the moves if needed. It's harder to judge how many cryptids are left due to their slower spawns compared to zombies, but when I felt that there was only one left, I carefully jumped down a hole, grabbed my buddy Neil's head, and put it in a supercomputer and spawned. While the cryptids were not gone forever, at least they would spawn in only limited numbers during most rounds. So I gleefully splattered this beast and ended the round, getting a max ammo for my troubles. With power on, the next step was to open Pack-a-Punch. I made my way back through the water room, grabbing the satellite piece by Blue Bolts, aka Electric Cherry, almost getting killed by this cryptid that didn't get blocked by the laser gate because screw me! Back to the ops center I went to kill zombies until I had enough points. Something Something I learned about this map is that you need a lot of money to get things done, and Republic credits are no good out here, and you need something a little more real. To that end, I purchased the Proteus sitting in the corner here. It's no M1, but it's a sniper rifle, and you know what that means. I opened the cargo bay, blasting the door that would lead me to teleport elsewhere and return to the Ops Center. It's that time again. Scope dollars, baby! It's been a couple maps, but you already know we're gonna use whatever cheap shit we can find. After thinning the herd, I grabbed tough enough so the cryptids didn't drag me back and force me to play Extinction. Back in the cargo bay, I grabbed a piece of the bridge to pack a punch before teleporting to the streets. I made my way through the theater and grabbed the final piece of the satellite before returning to the future. I also bought this R3K because I was nearly out of ammo in my OSA. At the end of round 8, I built a bridge using the satellite pieces and entered the projection room. I know what you're saying. Why would you do that, you boob? You don't have enough points. Because it's a rare achievement in and of itself. When I first accessed Pack-a-Punch room in the Beasts from Beyond when testing, I found that less than 1% of all players who own this game have even reached the Pack-a-Punch room in the map. 1% of all players reached Pack-a-Punch. Most Easter eggs have a higher completion. But most importantly, when I came back from Pack-a-Punch, a Phantom spawned in. It's not exactly fun having a more powerful cryptid chase me, but it's critical for the achievement. I led it to the water room where the electric trap was because I needed to damage it with the trap. By the way, never believe guides you read online, kids, because I was told this trap wouldn't hurt me. Guess what happened? No matter, I got toughened up and Adam's back and killed the Phantom. With only a couple of zombies left on round 9, I found this panel and had to press the correct button. Now, of course, due to my extensive knowledge of programming starships and sci-fi, it was a breeze for me to figure out that it was the bottom button. Okay, fine, I'll put a link to the video I found to determine what the correct button is in the description. Seriously though, that video is a godsend. This map only gets more convoluted the more you get into things. I had to trap a zombie in this containment tomb and go play computer games upstairs, solving mazes to unlock the door to the Venom X. There are monitors on the columns on the ground floor of the Ops Center that will show you how to successfully complete the maze, but how would you possibly do that solo? I used the same guide as the button box puzzle earlier. I actually failed this 2 times due to either running out of time or just screwing up the maze, but either way, I had to deal with another Phantom both times I failed. Not to mention round 11 was a special round, and this time the game decided to send a crap ton of cryptids at me. Oh well, better than ninjas. Thanks to an infinite ammo and insta-kill combo, round 12 went by quickly. I trapped another zombie and got to work, moving my red square towards a blue diamond. You have to do this 4 times and it can switch computers. It's also timed for an extra middle finger. There's actually a lot of pausing that I had to cut out because of all the double checking on the guide. But after those earlier screw ups and far more care this time, I completed the 4 puzzles and, after stumbling around for a minute, I found the Venom X waiting for my small hands. This triggered Egg Slayer, much like this map triggered me. Thanks so much for checking out this video, and like I said, I'll be doing more rare achievements as well as non-achievement videos, so let me know what you want to see. Just please don't suggest anything with lactose.